Hi, everybody. Welcome to my favorite shitty movie. I'm Todd, your host for tonight. I'm very excited about tonight's episode for a number of reasons. One is the panel of guests and co hosts that we have tonight is very exciting. We've got our show's creator, you got to give it up for that. Tess Rafferty is here to guest co host because our beloved Tracy Mercer is off in Ireland drinking Guinnesses and seeing sights and making the movie, which is awesome. So Tess is filling in for her tonight, and our guest, Sean O'Connor, is a writer who writes for Solar Opposites on Hulu. And also a great stand-up comic. He has a half hour on Comedy Central you can look up, and it's marvelous. You can see some of it on YouTube here and there. It's great stuff. But I ran into him at an Oscar party where we were not watching the Oscars at all. And we started talking about crap movies, and I told him about the show, and he's like, that sounds like fun. And I reached out to him, and he said, I'll do it. And then he told me this is the movie he wants to see, which is called Fateful Findings. And it's made by this guy named Neil Breen. And there's so much I didn't know until Sean O'Connor brought this to me. And I'm so glad he did. And we're going to get deep into this because Neil Breen is a national treasure, and we all need to accept that and reach out to it and buy his movies and give him more money to make more. I think I don't want him to go back to his old jobs. I don't. I want him to stay doing this. Ladies and gentlemen, Tess Rafferty, who's a writer and comedian, and she invented this show during the COVID lockdown. And now she's back. She formerly was a nerd wrangler, and she doesn't really do that anymore. She's kind of beyond it. But I do miss those days of being nerd wrangled by Tess. But here she is to help me get through this fucking movie with Sean. Here she is, Tess Rafferty.
Hey, Todd.
Hey.
Man, I love rewatching that opening because that is some lockdown hair you had, friend. Nothing says lockdown more than the length of that hair.
Oh my God. And the beard, the crappy goatee. The weird thing is when that was happening, I was so happy. I was like, I don't care what I look like. It doesn't matter. And my family was around me all the time. I never felt alone. And, that was a problem for a lot of people. But for me, it was like, oh, this is great. It's the opposite of normal. Because, actors spend a lot of time
those days. I know I don't want to speak too highly of them because I know they were terrible for a lot of people, but
oh sure.
But there was a lot of freeing things happening then too.
I mean, for us middle class citizens, you're right. I was
No, I don't. I'm not here to shame. I'm just saying, sometimes a lot of different things can be true. And I think it was, we were able to let go of certain things that maybe weren't serving us, like
yes,
having to look good for auditions. The pressure of that, for example.
No auditions. No auditions is low pressure. It was I guess a good time for me in weird ways. I mean, I know it was bad, but it's sort of like, when I was a kid and there was a hurricane or something and we all had to go down in the basement. It didn't happen very often, or a blizzard or whatever. That just sort of were hunkering down as a family surrounded by all this crap that's not good. And I don't know, there was something really lovely about it. It's cozy and it's comforting and it's maybe there's something wrong with me, Tess.
No, there's nothing wrong with you. I always tell people that, like, in LA, you don't get snow days when it really starts to wear on you because you need those breaks, right? You just need those, like, you're not going anywhere, friend. Have some brownies and watch some movies. And I used to feel that way about rain until like our rain just became deadly in Los Angeles the last couple of years, where you're just like, my house is going to fall into a sinkhole if a tree doesn't fall on it. Like everything is just like, now there's landslides.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's so awful. Like you're just like, every time it rains, you're just bracing yourself from like, what hole in the ceiling is it going to come in through? But it used to be really pleasant, and it's sort of that way now. Like when it rains, it's like the lockdown. Like bad things could happen, but if you just embrace what's nice about it, it's also good.
I get
Very
it. I totally love it. Fateful Findings.
Yes.
So you're like me in that you'd not heard of this or Neil Breen before.
No, it was like I was just pleasantly in the Matrix without realizing I was really just in a pod before all of this started. And I'd like to go back to those days.
So this was like you took the wrong pill.
Yes,
and you saw this movie.
And I really was going to save this for Sean, but watching this movie was like watching people being sex trafficked. Like
that's horrible.
It was horrible to watch, and
yeah,
it was really horrible. It was literally like watching. I don't know what he was promising these women, or like if he stole their passports and refused to give them back until they had sex with him on camera or something. But it was really creepy and triggering. It was also out loud funny in places, but yes.
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
It was very exploitive.
And Hillary totally agrees with you. There was a certain point where she was like, what the fuck is it with him getting naked with these strippers? And he's specific to Las Vegas, that's where he made his money that allowed him to make these indie movies. So I just assume all these women are strippers or stripper adjacent. I don't know. I just assume that. And what was great about this movie for me on that level is there's actually very little nudity. It's mostly, there's maybe a shot or two of blatant lady breasts, but there's so much of suggested stuff where his friends that you're talking about said nope. So he goes with these insert shots of feet, and it's like two sets of feet standing against each other, and then shirts drop. Like most of this movie is insert shots, which is part of the reason I love it. So he was gross, and he used his money for gross reasons, but I feel like at least most of the women in this movie had a breaking point. They were like, yeah, I'm taking your money, but I'm not doing that. And in the moment, unlike other more powerful producers,
I will do everything for SAG eligible, but I won't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not that this movie put anyone SAG eligible.
No, it really didn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, Breen operates that way. He operates thinking, I'm doing everyone a favor by doing this. There's a lot of Tommy Wiseau in Neil Breen, which is kind of why I love him in a ironic sense, I guess, but he cracks me up. Like his character in this movie is constantly talking to women like, I told you not to do that. I told you not to do these pills. I told you if you did this, then this would happen. That's so much of this movie, which Tommy Wiseau's The Room is all about him going, I'm a sensitive guy, and I told you not to do that, and you did it. Now this awful thing has happened. It's and that is creepy, no doubt. But it makes for a ludicrously entertaining, terrible movie where incompetence abounds. My favorite part about this movie, by the way, is the sound design, of which there is none.
Should we bring Sean up?
Yeah, we should. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Not that I don't love talking to you about this movie.
No, I got excited. Thank you. Nerd wrangling, always. Everybody, Sean O'Connor.
Hey, I'm so
the guy
excited.
who got me talking about this damn movie. Sorry, I'm so excited about this movie.
No. I was loving hearing about it. Literally the first note I wrote down last night through rewatching this was, if I'm being my most cynical, I would say Neil Breen makes movies to kiss Craigslist sex workers. And it is so obvious because in this movie, every woman that appears on screen wants to fuck him, whether it's a teenage girl or if it's his wife.
Whether or like his childhood friend who is so clearly not even born in the same decade as he is.
Oh my God. It's literally my favorite part of the movie is that these are supposed to be the same age and she's clearly 25 years younger than him.
Yeah. Hillary was saying that the entire time we were watching it. Hillary is my wife, Sean. The entire time we were watching it, she was like, Jesus fucking Christ, he's just using his money to be on camera with hot young women. Why does he just hire hookers and not film it?
And I want to say something in defense of sex workers here,
please.
because I think sex workers, by just necessity, and I say this with all, have to be better actresses. So I'm just totally serious. I think anyone who has been in the sex worker profession and is watching this is probably thinking right now, like, you don't understand. I have to be a better actor than that. Like, like, I'm just saying that, like, I really feel like this is, I don't know where you go to find that level of bad acting. They don't have a single person, in that entire movie who can even remotely nail the line.
It is, and this is what's amazing about it, and that's why I compare it to The Room, Tommy Wiseau's The Room, is it's hard to find an entire cast who, you write the dialogue, granted.
Right.
That's not like, very few actors could rise above it. I mean, just imagine, your favorite actor playing any of the parts in this movie. Would they rise above the dialogue? Probably not. But these actors actually like support the dialogue in the worst possible way. And that to me is very special and made me laugh the entire time. I did not stop laughing.
It almost feels like he's pranking them by using their worst take every time. Like, it is, because you're right, it's just jarring. Everyone is an alien in it. And like, he must have been, like, I don't know much about him and who the real Neil Breen is, because he doesn't let people into that world. But I feel like he read an article about like Stanley Kubrick, or like read a essay about Stanley Kubrick's directing style and tried to direct like him. So everyone had to like stick to the script and like just go along. Cause like in the dinner scene, no one is acting like they've ever eaten dinner before. Like, literally goes, try some of my wine. And then she takes her cup.
By the time they say like nobody wants to hear your stories about the elephants in Africa, I'm like, I do. Like, please, somebody entertain me with something. It's the weirdest pauses. Like, you have to imagine, like,
the pauses.
Yeah,
huge. Yeah.
The worst actor on day one of acting class would know, would know how to say, "I'm calling 911." Maybe not urgently, maybe over the top or whatever, but it's just amazing.
It is special. Before, I want Sean to talk us through, because I've seen this movie and I'm not sure what happens in it. I have vivid memories of things happening, but I don't know anymore in what order or what's happening. But before we have him talk us through this movie, I want Sean because he's first-time guest, to define what a great bad movie is for you.
It's very hard because at times I think it just needs to be interesting. I think a bad movie has to be interesting and kind of do things that your human mind, like I think we are all of sound mind. We could not come up with something like this, or like something like The Room, or something like Miami Connection. And I feel like I feel like that makes a shitty movie. It's just like somebody his view of the world is so detached from reality, and then they're trying to make like a movie that is about just living. Because I think Fateful Findings is just about a man in an unhappy marriage, and he goes about it in the most confusing way possible. And I love that. I kind of love the outsider art. That to me is more. I appreciate that more than like Swim Fan. Like, which to me is like a movie.
I like Swim Fans. Swim Fans, all right.
Yeah, maybe I have to go back and watch it. It was the first movie I ever walked out of, so it's what I always go back to. But like, I saw Madam Web, and I love Madam Web, and the reason why I like that as a shitty movie was Madam Web was a movie that was being made, and no one in it cared. So they just went through it sleepwalking, and that was also special. So I think that's the key, is just being detached from reality or the material.
Yeah, I love that.
There is that, like, I think it's a movie that leaves you incredulous. I've done, we've been on this. I've been on this show a bunch of times. We've defined it different ways, but like hearing you talk, I know one of the things that makes a shitty movie resonate for me. And by the way, Sean, hats off. This may be the shittiest. Like 4 years almost now, and I think we've found the bottom of the barrel. It's where you just go, like, you spend the whole thing incredulous. Like your jaw is practically hitting the ground because you just can't believe one thing after another that you're seeing.
At no point, it's like almost the opposite of Jerry Seinfeld's stand-up. At no point is any piece of this relatable. Like, I've seen clothes before, but nobody's wearing clothes the correct way. It's like it's jarring. It is jarring, and it's confusing from the first shot. And it's almost like he overheard somebody talk about David Lynch at a diner and was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
What I love about Neil Breen as a filmmaker and an actor at the same time, when he's directing himself.
Both those words are doing a lot of heavy lifting.
is his absolute dedication to the craft that he did not study and does not understand. But he's leaving time for that to happen. So there's these massive pauses throughout this movie. All right. I talked to you guys before the show, and there's this Wikipedia write-up of Neil Breen, and also the just name Neil Breen just phonetically works for me. It's great. Neil Breen.
It's beautiful, and it has to be fake. I assume it's fake because, like, he said he's had a successful career as an architect, and there's nothing that comes up about a Neil Breen as an architect.
No.
Yeah. He also it reminds me of Patrick Breen, who isn't a great actor, who is a great actor. So like I hear like Breen, and I'm like, I immediately think Patrick Breen. Oh yeah, he's fun. He's a great guy. Whatever. Like, and it's like, and then I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
No, really.
I mean, I would say that maybe he took his name from that, but I don't think he's ever seen a movie before.
No. And I can't wait to talk about when we get to the end of this. One of the final credits that he put in the movie is probably my favorite final credit of all time. But I just wanted to show this to you guys. This is like a Wikipedia entry about Neil Breen. And it starts with the classic. Neil Breen was born on November 23rd, 1958. He started his career as a real estate agent and architect in Las Vegas before switching to being an independent filmmaker. Breen never attended film school. He learned everything he needed to know on his own. He deliberately makes independent films, as he has stated he doesn't want to be part of what he calls the Hollywood insiders group. He self-financed, wrote, directed, edited, and starred in all of his independent films. Double Down, I Am Here Now, which sounds a lot like a J-Lo movie that's currently out.
Also
Fateful
sounds
Findings.
like all of his dialogue with those
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I love the write-up. It gives him a lot of credit.
He clearly wrote it himself.
He did everything himself. We'll get to the end credit that like makes that clear. But Sean, if you would, this is asking a lot of you. But could you explain to our audience who may not have seen the film what happens?
You know, this is actually really hard. I've now seen this movie 3 times, twice in theaters, crushed, and then last night I rewatched it again just to, sometimes you need a tune-up. So I watched it again, and I still have no fucking clue what it's about, but I took notes, and I will try to walk you through it.
All right, I've got photos to help you out. They're in order of the narrative of the film, so hopefully that will help. But this is how the movie starts.
Yes, Fateful Findings, just incredible.
Like, that office building that has no relevance whatsoever.
It tells you everything you need to know about the movie because it is mostly set in a basement or in a boardroom at a therapist's office.
If this is the building he lives in, their ground level pool is a piece of shit. It's a piece of shit.
I've lived in the Valley so long, I can look at that pool and say that's in North Hollywood. Like,
yes. I was like, Hillary, is this the pool that from the condo dwelling that your parents lived in the early aughts? And she's like, I think it might be.
And it's the same Berber rug in the hospital, in the apartment, and because he does those foot shots, right? And it's the same carpeting throughout. Like, I'm like, yes, that's you're in one location, friend.
That's it. But he's so excited to show you his Ferrari, which I really
love. My God. Yeah, but before that, so that this happens, right?
Okay. Sorry, I don't want to get him off track.
And then we have a long pan in the storage facility. And the whole time you're not really sure what it is. And when you see it, you're still not really sure what it is because it just looks like a box. But according to Wikipedia, this is a book. Never opened up to tell you it's a book. But I love the tone this sets because there's nothing more mysterious than a storage facility. Just it holds everyone's secrets. And, and then this book, not even in a locker.
And by secrets, you mean useless junk that has no value.
Yes, exactly. I assume that's what Neil Breen's secrets
that people can't let go of. Oh, storage facilities is the greatest
shot thing. Just with the composition until they get to the glitter falling.
Yeah. Then we meet our 2 leads as children, Dylan and Leia, and they are having the only way to describe it is a magical day. In fact, it's so magical that they find a mushroom that slowly dissipates to reveal a magic box.
I just want to point out this moment, though, before that happens.
Yeah. Oh, that was so creepy.
This is one of the actual good moments in this movie when this like skull animal head turns when they're walking by.
Oh, it's great. I mean, he's doing some good old fashioned 1920s ghost work.
Exactly.
Also, like the thing about the mushroom is that it is so clearly a portobello cap. Like, it's so clear they went to Trader Joe's. They got 2 to the pack, just like everyone does. They put it on the ground, and then when it disappeared,
he holds his hand,
flies off from it like a weird shadow creature flies out of the mushroom. Like,
yes,
who's that?
It's like, it's the I guess it's the spirit of love that is like
it's like smoky. It's the smoke of love. It's like
but I do love when he's doing this because he has to hold it because they're gonna do like a fade out effect. So the kid just holds his hand like that. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. So well done. They open the box and they find a magic stone. This is so important, this magic stone.
Mm-hmm.
And then
constantly showing it in his hand.
Yeah, Dylan's like 8, so he doesn't want to he just wants to take the stone. But Leia's smart. She knows the universal rule of you can't leave the box empty. It's bad luck. We've all heard that.
Yeah, sure, yeah. That stumped me as well.
That classic.
So they
were those little stones that she takes, were they in it? I don't understand.
You guys, this movie is like The Hobbit. It's world building. It's not something you're familiar with. It's fantasy. But okay, so they do the magic thing, and then like what gets them to their parting sequence? Because that's one of my favorite moments in the movie.
Oh, when they are. So this is all in flashback because Neil Breen is a 63-year-old man. So
he's 40. I think he's 40.
So this is his flashback, and in his flashback, Leah's parents are leaving town because this was just a summer, and she gets into a 2013 Lexus, which is just so fucking great.
Right. Oh, I didn't even do the math on that. Yes.
The waving in this scene is so fucking funny.
No one's ever waved before.
Yeah.
Who are they?
It is totally
He's like that thing outside a car dealership. That poor kid. I mean, he's an adult now, so I feel like we can talk shit about him, right? But like,
this is exactly why I think he took the worst take of everyone. He needed to be the best person in this movie.
I think that, like, honestly, there was one take the entire time. So that's what he got, and that's what he was working with. He was just like, hey, kids, just do this. And they did that. And he's like, great, moving on. He was paying for all of it.
It's such a bummer. I'm so sorry.
So, all right, so that leads into modern day, right?
Yeah, this is like setting up like the love, the story that taught us all how to love, which is
the story that makes it okay to watch your wife kill herself. What the fuck is wrong with Neil Breen? However, great filmmaker.
I mean,
not a great person. We have to separate the art.
So much is wrong with Neil Breen.
But we got to separate the art from the artist, you guys. Come on.
Well, all of that, once we get to modern day, we see that Neil Breen's character, Dylan, he's all grown up. He's a successful writer, but you wouldn't know that because he is part of the rat race, leaving an office. They tell you he's a successful writer later. But first, he has to walk out in front of traffic.
Wait, the crosscut in this scene is so funny to me because the actress who's playing his wife is doing like bad phone acting where she's responding to somebody immediately and he's not saying anything. But then maybe brilliantly, they cut to him and he's walking awkwardly down a sidewalk, not moving his lips at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense as far as cutting.
She's also doing this.
Yeah, and then he walks into traffic. Yeah, and then what happens, Sean?
So he starts going across the street and he is hit by a Rolls Royce that is driving another sex worker. And we never see her face.
She's like, you think this is going to be an important part of the plot? Like, who is this one? Like, the skirt is so short on one side, and then they cut to the other side, and it's even fucking shorter. Which again is everything you need to know about Neil Breen.
Yeah.
He's got a garbage view of women. It feels like a sexual assault just watching this movie.
No.
It's so fucking horrible. And well, clearly she wanted to hit him. I mean, what woman wouldn't want to hit him with a car? Like, if you've known this guy, because clearly he doesn't think much of women. But like, we never see her again. Nope.
We never see her again. And they make a point to do a witness statement while she's standing right there, going, "I think the Rolls Royce hit him." It's the best. I really loved it. I started crying laughing at this part. The way the car hits him is great. Like,
yeah, and the way he lands. Look at that. That's not a body that's been
you have a shot of
broken.
the EMTs, by the way, who look like cater waiters. They're dressed like really nice waiters at a really fancy steakhouse. Coats. No, they're like in the other scene, like when the ambulance finally comes, and it's like they're just so not EMTs. They're wearing those like white button-down waiter jackets.
No character makes any sense within their profession in this movie. We'll get to the psychiatrist later.
Yes.
Oh, which is my true favorite part. But first, yeah, he gets hit by a car. He is taken to the hospital. They don't think he's going to survive.
Yeah, I just want to point out, look at his face. I mean, this is him. He's been hit by a limo, landed in this weird position somehow. And look at his face. It's a little cut up, it looks like. But no, it was much worse than we thought.
Yeah, it was that.
Why is it like that?
They put the cannula and the mask, oxygen mask, over it. Like, how is that supposed to get in?
How's
he breathing in any of that oxygen through that gauze?
I love that one of his eyes is out because obviously he needed to walk, and that is the only reason why it's there.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, I have a photo of the first vapor thing that you were talking about.
Oh, there it is.
So his broken phone, he's reaching for it despite the fact that he's dead.
Yeah, he's dying, but he needs to tell his wife he's dying. And that is the driver of the shoe's foot, which Tarantino would love this shot. I think it's great.
Also, clearly, that shoe is too small for her foot. There's so much space in the bag.
Yeah.
Could be gravity. I noticed that I'm a little torn on it because it could be just because of, when you're on an incline, your feet are going to sink to the bottom like that.
Oh, okay.
But
it could also be that the actress who he originally cast went missing.
Yes.
I'm just saying, like, shoes like that should hold your foot in place.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
there shouldn't be a looseness that allows it. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And if you're going to hassle with shoes like that. Anyway, what's that smoke, Sean? What is it?
I think it's supposed to be the eternal spirit of love.
Okay.
Because it comes through the scene and then it takes you to the hospital where we see his current love, his wife. He's totally in a green card marriage. We can agree on that, I think.
This scene like was the first scene of the film where I was like, I feel this acting. This is, she wanted to deliver. She didn't have the proper training, but she wanted to. So it was so much and I loved it. I love that.
And yes, you meet his wife and his best friend Jim. And Jim's a playboy. We all love Jim. Jim is the most layered character in this entire thing.
Yeah, but he doesn't matter either. Sean Judge says this is awesome. He's happy. Yeah. Okay, Sean, I just, before we go on, because my next photo is this.
Oh yes, the ghost, or I don't know what he's supposed to be.
I just mostly want to point out, like, most of this movie is insert shots, and most of those insert shots are of people's feet.
Yes, specifically the black pants, black shoes man who's kind of it's almost like a guardian angel of sorts, who has like a transposition power where he can go through walls and reappear. I
thought like somehow the cube made him able to teleport.
It does later. Like, after his hero scene.
But okay, so what's happening at this point? Like, why is there a ghost?
So I think he's about to die, and the ghost is there to make sure he doesn't, because he has an important mission, which we still don't find out about for like 25 minutes.
Which it doesn't, for a while. So this is the child as an adult.
That is his aged equal.
I really enjoy this actress, by the way, because she will not look into anybody's eyes. She won't do it.
I think she can't. I think she showed up and was like, I've made a horrible mistake. Like, even one point, like, I can't remember the dialogue. It's something like, I've always known it was you, or I've always loved you. And then she just goes in and like hugs it. Like I can't even, I'm not even kissing him. I can't.
Oh my God, their sex scene in the woods is horrible, but we haven't gotten anywhere near that. Yeah, it's awful. Every time he's intimate with a woman in this movie, it's awful. It feels like an assault.
You feel so bad for the actress, and you actually I kind of feel bad for him, because I don't know if he's ever kissed somebody or taken off their shirt, because they are just pawing at each other.
I feel bad for me. I was watching this and eating, and I can't tell you how many times I like had to look away, and I just like moaned. Like, I was like, oh God, it was like the most disgusting thing I'd ever seen.
Well, that leads us perfectly when he wakes up in the hospital. He walks out, and like he's walking out in his gown and his face bandage, but he's in a perfect shot of his ass. Which I do think is like the first tell that he is a Tommy Wiseau and he's proud of his butt.
Yeah, for sure. I also, after this stuff, very shortly, he's in the shower.
Yeah, so once he leaves there, he goes home and goes into the shower in the face bandage and bleeds more than any human being. Like, he's bleeding as if half of his body has been torn off in a motorcycle accident, and it doesn't stop.
And she gets in the shower. Like, this was what I like literally wrote. Like, I think I wrote like, oh no. Like or maybe no, you know what I wrote down when I saw this? I think I wrote no fucking way. That's what I wrote. Like, no fucking way. This is so traumatizing. Dude, I would say don't show this to any women in your life if you ever want them to want to have sex again. I had to like turn on a TV show afterwards where Guy Pearce fucks a lot of women just to like sort of recalibrate. Like, oh yeah, no, so this is desirable. Like the fact that she stands in a shower and he's bleeding and his face is gauzed up and he's him. I guess the gauze makes it better. I don't know. I was so like, it was so disgusting and just really took me out of the moment, man.
He's like,
no, you're 100% right. There's just so
totally...
much blood, and he's making her kind of try to kiss the bandaged face, but she's not doing it.
So
even though she's a hostage, she doesn't have to do this.
Again with the feet, though. Like when he didn't have the money to cover the real acting that was happening, he went with the feet. This shot takes at least 45 seconds. That's a long time in a movie.
The shower scene is a lot, but luckily a day later he's completely healed, and that's when we find out.
Except for that one spot.
That one spot.
It's ugly right under there, but the rest of them's fine.
I thought that was the magic.
All about Dylan. He's a writer. His last book was a financial hit, and now he's stuck on his next book, even though he has 8 laptops.
Right? It's like Midjourney did the set decorating. You know how like Midjourney just gets shit wrong?
Because you guys are professional writers. How many laptops do you have open when you're working at home?
I just have one, but I'm not a Dylan.
Maybe you're just not a real writer. I don't know. This guy's for real. He's got 5 laptops.
The real writer who types like this.
He types like this. My absolute favorite thing, besides the 8 laptops, is when he is writing a book, he's reading another book and then typing, which is so baffling. I don't even know what he thinks writing is.
He's like a speed reader, you know? On was that on Electric Company? The guy who read really fast, so he could do that and write at the same time. He's like Stephen King and speed reader mashed together.
You know, there's a very specific thing about speaking of we don't know what he thinks writing is. I noticed a thing where they have to say like every line gets said twice. Like which is reminiscent, by the way, of another one of my favorite shitty movies, Jacob Tutu. I don't know if you guys ever saw that growing up. It was a popular one that they showed us in school about a little boy who said everything twice. And then he goes,
"Oh my God, I want to see that."
I think Jim Nabors and Ruth Buzzy are in it, actually, or something like that. I know that's far out Space Nuts too, but like I really think that there's something like anyway. I'll look it up and get back to you guys. But yeah, I feel like this whole script feels like ChatGPT could have written it.
Oh yeah, I also feel like ChatGPT couldn't because they have to base everything on something that existed before.
AI would be better. That's the thing. I mean,
they're more human than real.
Actually, this is a huge point for my favorite shitty movie. It's the human element that makes something this bad as well as good as it can be. AI is just going to bring you right down the middle all the time, and it's not interesting. Like failures like this are awesome. So he does this, and then he has is this right before the fight with his publisher where he's like, no more books?
Yeah, no more books, and he's throwing things. It's the first time he throws things, because the only way to be angry is to throw something.
It works well in the sex scene later for a million different reasons. But and then he has, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but he has the fight with his publisher and he throws books down, and then he's talking to sort of his wife out of the room, and then he has an issue where he passes out.
Yes, and then right after that is when he tells her he's going to stop taking his pills.
Right. So I have a clip of him freaking out because of the medication problem. It's not an actual clip from the film. I reenacted it. Oh. 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 Oh.
That was better. That was better. That you improved it.
Yeah.
I was too good. Well, I have another clip for another scene later. You'll see Hillary nailing it. It's the hardest thing to do bad acting. It's the hardest thing.
No, you were too good. That was the scene I labeled PTSD spills coffee. And somehow you cut like 45 seconds out of that scene.
Oh no, yeah, that scene goes on for a long time. I just couldn't. Yeah,
it's just so like he's like, "Where are my pills? I need my pills. I don't want these pills." And we have no idea what these pills do. Like, I don't know. Are they antidepressants, antipsychotics? Are they Valium? Like, is it Cialis? What's happening with these pills?
All the pills eventually kill everybody.
Yes, because his wife, when he's not taking them, she starts taking them.
Right.
For no reason, I guess because she has to have sex with Neil Breen.
Yeah.
And then his friends start taking them.
Yes. So, like, after the PTSD thing, we meet Jim and his wife. And his wife...
meet this bank worker.
Yeah. I did look her up on Instagram. In a previous life, she did work at Coyote Ugly in Las Vegas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I think she wanted to be an actress, and then after being in Fateful Findings, decided nope. And now she's left the business.
Sure, she got a real estate license.
We find out about Jim and his wife. I do think have the more easy to digest storyline of they're growing apart because he's an alcoholic and she doesn't want to have sex with him. It's almost like a really...
But she's also clearly an alcoholic.
Yeah. They're like in a dark Everybody Loves Raymond episode in the middle of the most confusing thing that's ever happened.
But like, also, there's never any... They don't even bother with food coloring in that wine.
No.
It's just water and wine glasses. I mean, Todd, I'm pretty sure I've seen all of Colby's films, your son's films over time, and I'm sure he's always had better production value. Like, even like the things he did when he was 12, 13, 14, like never water in a glass for wine.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
apple
problem.
Juice. Yeah.
There's the aforementioned rock
stone, which is kind of the thing that this is where the plot gets kicked into high gear. It's the first mention of what he's doing instead of writing his book, is he's hacking into all of the government secrets. Is there like a screen with ones and zeros? No fucking way. Neil Breen can't afford that. It's all said out loud. The man tells, it does not show.
I love when they're... Yeah. And I also love when there are signs, on the door that are clearly just printed out on an inkjet printer. There's a ton of those signs. And I'm sure that they're all the same frame with different...
It's beautiful. And I'm glad that you showed us like a therapist, because the thing that has been jarring every time I've seen this movie is how long the conference room table is that he's doing therapy at. Like, it's like having a one-on-one meeting with the CEO.
Nobody does therapy like this, but what's also awesome is that he goes up there's that staircase and it goes in two directions. He goes up one side, and when he's done with this guy, he goes down the other side.
Yes, there's an entrance and an exit, and yes, the lobby kind of looks like what you think Joe Francis, the Girls Gone Wild man's house would look like.
Oh yeah, it's 100% Scarface. I thought that was supposed to be his house, Neil Breen's house in the.
I have to assume it is his house.
It's probably
not
his
his pool, not his. But his pool, like the pool, does not match the house at all. Like that's the no, because I think he's just squatting in empty houses. You remember this movie was made in 2013. The real estate market hadn't really bounced back yet from the crash of 2008. He's probably just, these are the places that would sell.
Yes. This is the first movie made by squatters. And and then we get to the dinner scene where I guess it's everyone's first time at dinner. They're drinking out of.
That's the thing about this. Nobody's had dinner before. Nobody has done any of the behaviors that you would do at a table.
No.
Even if you've not been trained to have a polite conversation.
Could be more elegant. Neil is so out of his element.
Hey, Sean, you're glitching a bit.
You're breaking up. Uh-oh. Hang on a sec. I'll pop him out and in and see if that helps.
Am I back now?
I hear you, but you're still frozen. Your image. Well, I can hear you.
It's the weird ghost of the cube.
Oh man.
The mushroom spirit doesn't want you to make fun of Neil Breen.
No, he's rebooting. Oh no. Oh no. This happens all the time.
Well, listen, I want to ask anyone, is Jeff Luce listening? Remember our pal Jeff Luce? Does he still listen on Wednesday nights?
Yeah, he does. He hasn't commented yet, so we'll see. If
Jeff Luce, if you're out there, will you find out what this Jacob Tutu is and why I remember that Jim Nabors and Ruth Buzzy were both in the movie for me?
Am I back?
Yes. Yeah. Woo.
There he is.
Sorry. I don't know what.
No worries. It happens all the time. So, I just, because we're getting late, I got all these end segments to get to. I'm going to start throwing photos up and having you talk me through it quick.
That's great.
So what's happening here?
Here's one of their many fights. Basically, for like an hour in the middle of the movie, all they do is fight with each other.
Right. But then they make love.
And it's so grotesque, and they rip each other's shirts off. And
the phrase "making love" is gross, but I assume that's what he wrote in his screenplay.
It truly, like, at this point when I saw it for the first time, I thought he was in on the joke based on them like kissing and like tossing everything, and they're like
the way they like unpassionately throw stuff off the desk is great.
Yeah, you have to assume it's a joke. But then at that screening, Neil Breen yelled at the audience for laughing at the movie. And I realized that at no point is this a joke.
Wait, you saw a screening with him?
Yes, he showed up and then yelled at the audience for laughing.
Oh, wow.
He's so great. Everyone had a bad time.
So can I ask, because I'm dying to know, I know we got to get to the summary, but how did you hear about, like, what made you hear about this the first time?
So my friend is good friends with Nathan Fielder. Nathan Fielder was obsessed with Neil Breen, and he got Cinefamily to show Fateful Findings and booked Neil Breen to do a Q&A. So it all happened, it all converged. And at this moment, I guess somewhere earlier that day, Neil Breen found out about Nathan Fielder being a comedian, and he had like a real chip on his shoulder. So he came to ruin the fun at the Cinefamily by being like, this is not a comedy. and he would only take questions about his serious filmmaking.
That's amazing.
I'm like, do I have to is he going to try to kill us?
No, I think the guy just.
I don't think he has the money to get us killed anymore. He spent it all on his dumb movies. Here he is, like he's naked all the time.
Yes.
Here he is again with a box.
It's a book. Yeah, it's
a book box.
This guy.
Necronomicon. I think it's a Trump Bible, actually, that book.
Is he freezing it again for you, Tess?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, I'm frozen.
Hang on.
Can't.
Leave and come back again,
Hear
Sean.
me now?
That seemed to work. I can, but you're still frozen. Oh, he just left again. I love this.
It's kind of like how I can't even remember his name in the movie. We'll just call him Neil Breen. How he used to disappear and reappear places. Like suddenly he was teleporting in the movie. If you're just tuning in, or I'm sorry, if you haven't seen the movie yet, you should know that in addition to everything else we've told you about so far, he also just starts teleporting randomly. Like, okay, we don't know why.
It's bananas. Yes. This is
right.
my favorite scene in the movie because it looks like the pool at my in-laws' Studio City condo complex.
It tracks,
I swear to God, it's the same pool. I don't know how it's not. All right. Well, hopefully Sean will come back. We'll see what happens. Let's just keep talking through this thing so we can, get to the end of it. So there's this moment where he meets his childhood friend again, and he realizes it's her, and she has the journal that says,
It's a magical day, because she had amazing handwriting as an 8-year-old, and she's been carrying that book around with her ever since. Do we want to cut to a Anderson family reenactment, maybe? And that way.
Oh yeah, we do have one.
And maybe Sean, while we're watching.
Yeah, we have one of this couple. It's not this scene, but it's later in the film. And it's they get in a fight and they basically break up. It's very sad.
Because.
I'm sorry. I let you down.
You didn't let me down. Why can't we just start over? We both got problems.
I think I'm beyond that now.
I'm leaving. Get some air.
Fine. You go.
I'm not running away.
It's genius.
It was perfect.
It's exactly the scene.
I especially like being able to hear your cat in the background.
Yeah, that Ron makes it work.
Yeah. It's a verisimilitude.
Yeah. I captured this just because I wanted the audience to understand, if you've not seen the film, the amount of insert shots.
Yeah.
And this shot goes on for a good 45 seconds. It's just soap dripping with water.
Yes. This is during the scene where the teenage girl is trying to seduce Dylan. And he has to tell her to stop. Stop this right now. Leave.
Oh.
Do not come back.
And it's almost a nod to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Like
It
it's
is.
It almost is.
Because when she takes her top off in the pool and he's looking out there, it kind of has that like creepy, leering, like, oh yeah. And then he chastises her, like, stop your ways.
You have to go. Don't come back. No.
Get out of here, you crazy teen.
Yeah, so Act Two is very much like the moral panic part of this movie. This is when the B plot wife decides that she's going to kill her alcoholic husband just cause.
Yeah. And then everybody starts dying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Killing themselves or being killed and it looks like a suicide.
Yes. The amount of blood in this scene is so funny. And Neil Breen keeps touching his face with his bloody head. So his face
This is the scene I wanted to do with Hill, but she was like, I'm not fucking doing that. It's too messy. It's such a good scene. That scene. Yeah.
You think he's only going to touch his face like twice, but he just keeps going back.
And then he winds up at the Matrix therapist's office.
And by the way, like, so not only is sitting across a conference table from someone not how you do therapy, neither is sitting in folding chairs so close that your knees touch. Like,
okay, so
yeah.
I think you guys have unlocked something that I didn't. In my head, this was his psychic.
Okay, that makes more sense. Psychics
what they're doing is not therapy.
It's just bullshit.
It's hard to tell the difference.
Yeah. And then he goes walking along. Is this Balboa Park? Where is this?
You know what? I tried to think about it too. Like, where do we have a reservoir with ducks in LA? It might be Vegas. Who knows? It doesn't feel.
Well, that's what I wondered. Is it Vegas? Shot in Vegas?
Yeah.
Because this has similarities to Balboa Park in the Valley. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Here
You're
they
like
are.
me watching the Bad News Bears, where I just try to think of which locations in the valley they're at. Like that's.
He's reunited with his long lost love.
Totally
Leah.
the same age.
They're the same age. Look at these faces side by side. You know they have the same birth year.
Yeah. And then they go back to the magic.
They go back to the magic, and then they have they have wood sex.
And they probably shouldn't have, because this happens right after they have wood sex, as if she knows.
Yes, she knows. Everyone knows. Their love was pouring out of the screen, and it became a 3D movie for like 5 minutes. She carried the book that she's had since she was 8, that just has "What a Magical Day" written on it.
He said, this is the Tommy Wiseau thing about it. You know, he's in love with another woman, which, you know, that's not cool. But then he still loves his wife when she kills herself.
Yeah.
He looks like he's about to take her shirt off while she's dead and just touch her tits. Like, I mean, like, look at that.
Yeah. Like, he's going to have one last go on them.
Oh, okay. Also, like, how is he a victim? This story, he keeps saying, "I know it was you." Like he's at the end of The Godfather too, you know. Yeah. And he's like, "I know it was you," and I'm like, "Her what? You know, it was her who did what? She wasn't in the limo that hit you. What did she do?"
I think I don't know if it's this scene or one earlier, but he does say at some point, "I told you these pills would tear us apart." And I'm not sure he doesn't tell her that when she's dead.
You know what? I've been married. I'm married, and I know that you will get one last "I told you so" in. Okay, that tracks for me. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'll probably say that. So yeah, I get that.
And then then there's all this supernatural stuff all of a sudden. Pictures and mirrors are banging around.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
you can't tell if it's an earthquake or ghosts just like really hate the art on the walls.
Yeah, we don't know for sure what's happening. I just grabbed this shot because I thought it was lovely.
Sure, yeah.
It's a lovely shot on the horrible road. Like, this is one of the times when you're driving out to Vegas where you're like, oh, the world's okay. But then you get into the hills and you're like, oh, this is bad.
Even Neil Breen can fuck up a desert shot. The man.
There's him in one.
Yeah, yes.
Does that not fuck up the desert shot?
No, that looks great.
On a tripod.
Look at that. He's standing like a normal 34-year-old man.
All right, so and then basically we're fast forwarding to getting through him going through all this spiritual shit, I guess. And then he addresses the nation.
Yes, he addresses the nation. And what I could only say is the greatest thing that's ever happened in film history. I do think the last 5 or so minutes of this it's just better than Citizen Kane. Like, it's so much better.
All right, I'm pretty sure on this show we've done Steven Seagal's On Deadly Ground. And this movie ends exactly the same way.
What?
Have you not seen Steven Seagal in On Deadly Ground?
No.
Michael Caine is the bad guy. It's horrible, but this is what this guy took from that movie and was like, that's how I'm going to end my movie, with a fucking monologue.
You don't think it's a nod to The Godfather where they start taking care of business and the leaders of all the 5 families get killed?
That's totally, yeah. And I think that's what Steven Seagal was doing. But I think that this guy was not doing that. He was just doing Steven Seagal. That's what I think. I could be wrong. But then, and Sean told me before I saw it, he's like, it's got the most batshit crazy ending I've ever seen. And I totally agree, because he does this, he shames all the politicians, and then they all resign, which means they kill themselves.
They kill themselves. By the way, like mere feet away from him, because they all are relatively in the same background.
They all admit that he's right, that they've been horrible human beings, and then kill themselves.
Yes.
They resign and then commit suicide.
The president of Banks is dead, guys.
Yes.
Politically, it doesn't make sense. It's just resign or commit suicide. You don't need to do both.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Neil Breen. You have no idea where his vote lies.
the other insurance companies and it's like I and the other insurance companies.
It says he's an insurance company. He's not the president of it. He's
not the correct antecedent. Yes.
I also love that he casts 5 people, but he only has 4 methods of killing yourself. So he just puts 2 gunshots.
He recycles the gunshot. I've run out of a suicide.
We're burning daylight, everybody.
This we know is, he's okay. He doesn't know all the other ways you can do that.
But then someone tried to kill him and they get shot, but we don't know who shoots them. There's no reveal.
No reveal. It just happens.
By the way, tell me this isn't Neil Breen. This is Neil Breen, right?
Probably. I don't know.
There should have been a future Neil Breen with like sunglasses who gives him a thumbs up.
I love this man so much. I don't ever want to meet him. You know how they say don't meet your heroes?
Yeah.
But I love him so much. So the movie ends with this. The childhood lovers? Are they childhood lovers? Or I don't know what you call it.
They've loved each other since they were 8 from that one magical day.
And it made it, their relationship made them okay with everyone around them murdering themselves.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Because now that they're reunited, Dylan will stop rapidly aging. He was aging 3 years for every 1 human year.
It was a curse because he took the cube out of the box.
You didn't put anything back in the box. You never leave a box empty.
Why would you do that? So before I get to your guys' final comments, because I want to hear it, I just wanted to point this final credit out. This is the last thing you see in the movie. Any of the above listed companies in the credits with an N or a B in their name are fictitious. This work was actually done personally by Neil Breen. Why would you put fake shit up and then say within the same credits that was all fake? I did it. Like Robert Rodriguez doesn't do that.
Like beginning with an N or a B, or like anywhere, because there's a lot of company names that have both N and B in them. Like that seems like you'd have to specifically not hire any companies that had N or B in their name so as not to be confused, to make that premise work, you know?
I think you're right. I think part of the problem is he wanted to create the illusion that companies were involved in the making of this film.
Yeah, I think
and then I guess legally he was like, oh no, I said all those fake things. I bet this was a later edit. Like he put it out and his lawyer friend was like, you can't make up fake names like that because
I assume he's also his lawyer.
Like, yes, yeah. His lawyer friend, Beale Breen.
All right. Sean, what are your final thoughts about this movie? Just tell us.
I mean, I love it. I think it is just such a truly the most insane way to spend an hour and 40 minutes of your short life. I feel like you only get so many minutes, but this is so worth seeing at least 3 times. It's interesting. It's like truly like being hooked up to like a mind meld with a madman. I love it. It's 10 out of 10 for me. I've never had more fun in my life.
Tez, where are you with this?
Well, I welcome forgetting about this movie as soon as I'm done with this podcast.
That's fair.
I want to point out there's a salad scene which offends me both as a writer and a foodie, where it's after him and the girlfriend get together, the old girlfriend who's new again, and she walks in and he's eating this salad again like he's never eaten before. It is just baby spinach leaves. Like they're not even trying to dress it up. And he like throws it to the side. They like to throw shit in here. Like he doesn't have electronics lying around. And it like tilts to the side and falls. And they do a really big shot on this like salad tilting and falling as he puts it down. And like it's somehow going to be significant. And of course it's not. And then they look at each other and they laugh. Like this is the funniest thing either of them has ever seen. And it has no bearing on the plot whatsoever. And that just encapsulates the entire movie for me. It's just this sad, shitty looking salad that he doesn't know how to eat. And that falls over. And when it does, they act like it's like this like amazing, hilarious thing that happened. It was pretty much towards the end of the movie. And I'm like, you know nothing about writing or making a salad, sir.
I don't think Neil Breen knows anything about actually being alive. Yeah. That's the truth about Neil Breen. He's a special guy. That was great. I love it. I know now that Neil Breen exists, and he's got at least 2 other movies, and I'm going to watch them. I can't wait. That said, let's move into our little end segments. Let's start with Be Bad or Be Best. In this segment, I have a title, and Tess has a double feature, which I'm excited about. Oh no, sorry, that's the boost. Tess has a movie that I love for Be Bad, Be Best. So if it's so bad, Sean, nobody should see it. That's Be Bad. If it's Be Best, it's so bad, it's awesome, and everyone should see it, much like they should. Fateful Finding. All right, I'll let Tess go first. Let me find the photo. Of course, I have it in my collection.
It's True Believer with Robert Downey Jr. and James Woods. You know what? I've seen this in the last 6 months and I forget everything about it, except that it is a courtroom drama and James Woods has a really terrible ponytail because he used to be a hippie who's now a civil rights attorney. So I'm going to go with Be Best, even though I remember absolutely nothing out of this movie.
Really?
Oh, I literally saw it 6 months ago, if that, and I couldn't tell you the first thing.
Was that your first time 6 months ago?
It was my first time seeing it.
Oh my God. I wish that could have been here 6 months ago to watch. I saw this in the theater. Sean, True Believer, is it, if you haven't seen it, doesn't matter. You can just judge it according to that.
Never seen it, never heard of it, but Robert Downey Jr. kind of looks like he's wearing a fat suit on the cover, so I'm going to say Be Best.
Yeah. For me, it's great. And Tess, one of the lines of dialogue I always remember is James Woods, as he's walking towards camera, saying, "We're going to put the facts on trial." And that encompasses James Woods' entire political philosophy, I think, in general. And the fact that these two, let's be honest, these two right-wingers are in this movie about liberals trying to fight the system so they can save a person of color from being wrongfully imprisoned is kind of ironically delightful.
Is that Edward James Olmos in Behind the Bars?
No. That actor's name I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but it's not him.
Okay.
He's a guy who was in a lot of B movies in the 80s and 90s, and martial arts guy.
They're doing nobody any favors with that cover art.
Yeah. My Be Bad, Be Best is this. Obviously, The Room. Tommy Wiseau's The Room, and we mention it on the show every now and again, but nobody's picked it, so we haven't done it. So I'm curious. Be Bad, Be Best, Tess.
You know what? I'm going to say Be Best, and here's why. I've never actually seen it. I have seen the movie that was inspired by it. But what I love about The Room specifically is that it occupied this really rarefied space in the early aughts where the internet and social media wasn't what it would become. And it was this, we had one room billboard that was on, I think, La Brea. For years, they just forgot about it. It was one of those abandoned billboards. And it was that one that they would run the commercials, like literal commercials for it on TV during whatever weird hours or something. And still, everyone in Los Angeles knew what it was. And it was the butt of all jokes in a way that it's kind of hard to believe when you look back on it. Now, knowing how the internet makes things the butt of all jokes, this was a cult joke before we had the internet 2.0 as we know it, right?
And a high-end cult joke, because movie stars and TV stars would go to the Sunset 5 to watch the midnight shows of this.
It was like I remember comedians doing jokes about it on stage. You're tearing me apart. So everybody remembers. It's not like when Kennedy got shot or anything, but it's like everybody remembers like the first couple of times you saw that ad on TV and you were like, what in the holy fuck? I can't get a meeting and this fucking thing exists. It makes me nostalgic.
I get it. Hi, Mark, that line. I have multiple friends named Mark and I can't help but doing that. Oh, hi, Mark. I did not hit her. So great. Sean, is this Be Bad or Be Best?
This is Be Best. I mean, Truly, oh hi Mark, oh hi there, doggy kitty when he goes in the flower shop. Like they're just so ingrained in my brain. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I still see his ass from how many shots of his butt. It's so muscular. It's what I picture John Cena's butt to look like. Yeah, no, I'm a B best.
The skin on his back is bananas too. It's just everything about Tommy Wiseau is crazy.
It's so funny. The mystery is great.
Yeah.
I mean, just them playing catch with a football. Again, it's inhuman.
Yeah, but honestly, before you made me aware of Neil Breen, I thought Tommy Wiseau was the guy. And I honestly think Neil Breen is the guy. Because I've seen Tommy.
So Neil Breen could run.
Yeah. I picture them. They're of the same alien race who have come here to collect data, but they can't stop making movies.
All right, here we're gonna do this and get to the double feature. I already ruined.
You have a scroll now. That's a new feature on StreamYard.
Yeah, really exciting. This is the boost. Yeah, Tess and I are both gonna bring up titles of movies that we would like to call attention to for whatever reason. And Sean, please weigh in on these suckers. I will go first because Tessa's is better than mine. Mine is this. This is an ordered from a very specific website copy of a movie called Get Even, or according to this box art, Get Even.
Get Even.
And this is very in line with the movie we watched tonight, because this guy is a San Fernando Valley lawyer who dreamed of making a movie. And he made this movie, and he hired like some formidable B movie guys, including Wings Hauser, to play completely unnecessary parts in this. But my favorite part of this movie is so this woman that you see in the cover now, I can't remember her name, is like a Penthouse Playmate of the Month that he hired to play his girlfriend. And there's a scene shot in a valley backyard. And it took a while for them to get it because like as the scene goes along, her skin gets redder and redder until the point you're like, now she's got skin cancer. They've left her out in the sun too long. It's horrible. This is the kind of backyard production this is. So if you enjoy movies like Fateful Findings, you will love Get Even. I call it Get Even. Yeah. You will love it.
I've always wanted to see this. I've seen the trailer for it close to like 20 times. I need to know the website to buy this from. I'm so fascinated because he also sings in the movie.
Yeah.
And just from like the 2-minute trailer, really felt like a man was going through a divorce and tried to write a movie in which he won the divorce.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. And it's great. My friend Jason was obsessed with this movie and reached out to the guy, to that guy with the mustache.
John DeHart.
Yeah, John DeHart. And he met him and had lunch with him.
Oh, man.
And it was just asking him questions about the movie. But by the end of it, they were drinking beers. By the end of it, John DeHart was threatening to beat him up in a parking lot. So he got in a fight with this guy who made a bad movie that he liked.
And they're not in on the joke. They're not.
He didn't understand. But then later he called Jason. He's like, I'm so sorry. I overreacted. Yeah. They all realize that in the end, they're garbage people, but people like their garbage. So at a certain, because Tommy Wiseau leans into it now.
Yeah.
I don't know about Neil Breen or if he's even alive, but these guys lean into it.
He was not leaning into it that night. It's in a family, but
it's kind of like 80s Star Trek before they rebooted to Next Generation, where it was just this campy thing. And these guys were like, hey, I don't know, some people like us, I guess we'll do some conventions. And then, Next Generation was great. And they rebooted the franchise a bunch of times. And then eventually they realized, no, you know what? The original was actually pretty great for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
They were doing things that they were kind of ahead of their time. And, but yeah, there was that period in the 80s where it was just, and they were in on the joke.
Yeah. Well, and it was the old ones were getting heavily rerun back then. And that's what I fell in love with, the early Star Treks. I wasn't even a New Generation person. Love Patrick Stewart, but I didn't watch it. Yeah. So this is Tessa's boost. I'm very excited about it. This is the first for the boost.
So this was my date night Saturday night. Was a double feature of What Happens Later with Meg Ryan and David Duchovny, and Roadhouse, the Roadhouse reboot with Jake Gyllenhaal. Because
it's the perfect heterosexual marriage double feature, right?
And to be fair, like, my husband was the one who was like, oh, Meg Ryan and David Duchovny, I'm absolutely in. I'll watch whatever these two are doing together.
God bless.
God bless them. We're big X-Files fans, the whole thing. We like to see, as a friend of mine calls it, who's about our age, elder dating. And I was like, well, Roadhouse doesn't feel like a first movie. Roadhouse feels like, hey, we're already a bottle of wine into this evening. Let's turn on the new Roadhouse. And we watched the whole thing. We watched them both. So, and both have this weird nostalgia factor, obviously, because one's a reboot from one of the greatest shitty movies of all time. And one is this, these two actors that we both love, and, queen of romantic comedies, Meg Ryan, now turning her hand to directing, at which she's very good at, and doing this, like, this is what it's like to be, I mean, they're playing 50s, but, this is what it's like to be people later in life, talking about their past relationships and where they are now. And it was great. And there's some scenes in them, like, I feel like they give their backstory just one thing too many. Like, they give them 3 issues in their backstory and they really only needed 2 of them, but it's fine. I don't care. That's really nitpicking. What I'm saying is you should watch it because it's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. She does an amazing job directing it. There are some scenes, because I think they filmed it during COVID. It's mostly the 2 of them throughout the entire thing, carrying every scene. And there's some scenes that are just really, like, we went back and we watched one twice because it's this, moment where they're playing the sexual tension, but he's just on the phone, and based on what's happening on the phone is like sort of this, everything's playing out in their body language about whether they're going to get together that night or not. It's a really great movie. And then Roadhouse is just fun. It's all the beats you want to do.
You liked the new Roadhouse. You were good with it.
I was good. I mean, like, look, did I have high expectations? Was I already drinking? All of those things are true. But I don't care. It's Roadhouse, right? You just want to see a guy beat up a bunch of rednecks and, good triumph over evil. And somehow in it, Jake Gyllenhaal has this weird, quirky sense of humor that comes through in some of the dialogue that, anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Anyone in that movie sexier than Sam Elliott in the first Roadhouse, who I think is like basically made to be the hottest guy that's ever appeared, and it makes no sense. You're like, no. Sam Elliott.
This weird mentor character.
Like an Easter ham that has abs.
A lot of people have a problem with this new movie because it doesn't have a Sam Elliott character.
Yes, there's no mentor character, and he never says "pain don't hurt."
No, he doesn't say that.
Yeah.
There is a place called the Double Deuce, but it's a cafe next to a bookstore in a strip mall.
Commentary about how soft we've gotten, right?
Well, no, there's still a bar that's like, I mean, where the band has to play behind chicken wire, you know, like that. There's still like which
it's
is
still hardcore. It's a hardcore roadhouse, but
yeah.
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Oh yeah.
It for me, it was absolutely delightful. I don't understand why people are mad at it. And like anyone, if you're one of these people out there, by the way, saying you're mad at the new Roadhouse because it's not as good as the old Roadhouse, I don't think you saw Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And if you did, you didn't understand it at all. It's crazy. All right, so we have one more a little thing. I love this. A guest of ours came up with this, John Keating. And it's called the Indie Effect. And what this is, it's about unnecessary characters in movies, characters that didn't need to exist in movies. The movies would have turned out the same way. The reason why we call it the Indie Effect is a lot of people say that Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark wasn't necessary to the narrative because it would have happened without him anyway. And when you think about it, that's true. But that's kind of why the movie's awesome. But in any event, I'll start with mine, and then I'll have Tess show hers. I don't have a photo for Tess, but here's mine. We talked about this movie a few weeks ago, Johnny Be Good, starring Anthony Michael Hall. And there's these two guys who exist in this sequence in Texas only to eat live bait out of a vending machine. By the way, after Johnny Be Good, I learned that there are places where you can get live bait in vending machines. I did not know that. It's a real thing. But in this, they take it out and this asshole eats it and he says, it's Texas sushi. And that's the whole reason they exist, is for this weird joke about an actual thing that exists and then eating them alive. I don't know. I love wedging a character into a movie just for a joke. Like, Better Off Dead has the two guys, working the telephone poles, and they see John Cusack in a garbage truck and they say, what a shame, people throwing out a perfectly good white boy like that. That makes a little more sense, is like completely unnecessary characters as a joke, than this. But still, I love it. I love when people put unnecessary people in movies for jokes. And I'm not sure that doesn't define most of my career. So that said, I'm sorry I don't have a still to go with Tess, but Tess, what's your?
Well, it would be too many stills, really. I'm sorry. I did not read the email, so I didn't. That's on me. So I didn't think about this ahead of time. But today, of course, I realized that unnecessary characters would be every woman in Oppenheimer. No bearing.
Full nudity.
Yeah.
I mean, again, what's the difference? What's the difference between Christopher Nolan and Neil Breen when you really break it down, right?
Money.
Yeah, money.
That's
money.
it.
That's it.
Same fucking guy.
Because again, it's clearly just Christopher Nolan being like, I'd like to see Florence Pugh naked, fucking Cillian Murphy in front of a bunch of fucking old white dudes in a conference room. That's what I want to see. Right. I think it's part of a bigger issue, which is that Oppenheimer, for most of the movie, has no obstacles. Like the worst thing that ever happens to him is when they're going to deny his security clearance. Like that's like his biggest obstacle in life. Yeah. Like he's not plagued by any like remorse. He's not like, they don't even really play up any obstacles in developing the bomb. We never go back to why he tried to murder his professor. Like none of that matters. We don't need any of those women in there. They're just things for him to fuck. And, I guess that, so
I kept waiting for Cillian Murphy to do like a cameo in The Zone of Interest. I was just like, You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know why I'm supposed to care about this guy.
I don't know either. Nope.
Yeah.
It's
No.
Nopenheimer for me.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, like, it's such a waste of Emily Blunt and Florence Pugh, who I think are just like both dynamite actresses, and like, yeah, no, he wastes them completely. Basically, Florence Pugh just plays naked socialism, and, like, and yeah, I guess that. Yeah, I don't know. I only like the first two acts of Oppenheimer.
It's what does Tracy always say about Florence Pugh? She goes, I'm horny, I'm crazy, I'm dead is her entire story arc. And she's an amazing actress. It's not any slam on her. Like she should have been handed better material. Again, she probably could have done more with the Neil Breen script than what she was given in Oppenheimer.
Oh my God. I would like to take the whole Oppenheimer cast and have them make Fateful Findings. That would be awesome. Have Nolan direct it. Fuck it. That'd be fun.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I'd watch that.
That's awesome. Sean, you got to choose one of these unnecessary characters. Here's yours.
It's the Eggman from Clerks. I am from my hometown is I'm technically from like the town next to Leonardo, New Jersey. I'm from Middletown, New Jersey. And literally, like, my family used to go to the Quick Stop and RC Video to rent videos. And Walt Flanagan, who plays the Eggman, was the guy, like the purveyor of the comic book shop next to my hometown, the place I bought comic books and sold comic books to. And he was such an asshole to me, which is through growing up, I've now realized that his character is the least important character in the history of film. And I'm picking Eggman. The movie goes on without him. It doesn't matter. All he does is count eggs. He's supposed to be about how like weird the people are that come in there. But that guy sucks. He was so mean to 14-year-old me. And look, he's got stage makeup on his hair. That's a young man trying to be old.
Oh, that's like when you do like high school plays, right? And you draw they teach you how to draw the lines on with the white highlighting. Remember we all walked around with that shit? Like, looking good, kids. Yeah.
I wasn't a Clerks guy. I didn't understand that movie.
Oh,
but the Eggman, unfortunately, was the only character that I thought I understood. I thought it was an homage to the Eggman from Pink Flamingos.
It
might that be. Made me respect the movie a little bit more than I did as I was watching it.
It might be. I have never pieced that together. Again, I saw Clerks way before I saw Pink Flamingo.
Well,
yeah. And like Clerks has been a part of my life since I was probably came out in 94 when I was 10. I saw it when I was 12. And like Kevin Smith was everything to me as like a chubby boy from New Jersey. He was the one who got out. So I was really into Clerks. I made my mom take me to the filming of Chasing Amy in Red Bank to watch Ben Affleck yell at Joey Lauren Adams in the rain. It was an obsession of mine, and I regret every single moment of
it. Well, God bless. That's great. We all have our shitty movies that we love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all like to see ourselves represented on screen. I think that's the important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's kind of why I was excited to see Clerks, but I guess because I wasn't in New Jersey as a clerk, it didn't resonate. Maybe if it had been like made by someone from Massachusetts, I would have been like, oh yeah, I get that.
It was a very FUBU movie. It was for us, by us.
Yeah, and it's a DIY movie, very much like the one we talked about tonight, Fatal Findings. This has been great. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me. I want you to know that earlier today, Chris said He said, I have a 2:00 call with Marianne. And I said, I have a 6 p.m. with a ginger.
That's awesome.
Mwah, chef's kiss. Thank you, Todd, for allowing me to make that joke.
Oh my God. Sean, thank you so much for doing this.
Yes.
Is there anything that you want to plug outside of Solar Opposites? And like, you have a ton of stand-up out there. I know you're not doing it right now, but it's great stuff.
Yeah, watch my stand-up on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Sean O'Cons. Yeah, that's it. Like, I'm there. I just do stuff.
He's out there. He does it. Tess, is there anything you've got your series of mystery novels? Anything else?
Yes, I wish I had one of the. I thought I should have had a book to hold up on camera.
Yeah,
first of all, last I checked, I'm 6 followers on TikTok away from 1,000. So if you're out there and you're on TikTok, follow me at Tess Rafferty, 2 S's and 2 F's. And
but isn't the Biden administration against TikTok?
Look, I will happily give up TikTok. I'm just looking for an excuse to not have to be on this shit. I'm too fucking old. Here's you can see a cover of one of my books on a vase, The Red, the Fed, and the Dead. You can find my mystery series on Amazon. Just Google Tess Rafferty. But yeah, that's the two.
Great stuff.
Those are the two best things for me.
And other books. You have your other book that's like real about dinner parties.
Oh yeah, but it's fucking so 2012. Fuck that book. I have 5 mystery books out there. Part of the Cat Kelly series.
You wrote something and it's out there. And it's very good. So that's all I'm saying. Like, just because it's old, I wrote stuff a long time ago. I still think it's good. I mean, I think all writers are too hard on themselves. It's good, fun stuff.
Oh,
maybe
thank
she
you.
doesn't think so, but I do.
Well, I think you're supposed to look at what you wrote and be like, oh God, I'm so much better now. And I'm so much more whatever. Because otherwise you're not evolving,
Yeah.
Except I look at like I hate myself so much. It's so nice to hear somebody be like, you should be proud.
Well, true story. And not to drop a name or anything, but I had to interview Sarah Bareilles last week. And she was, we were watching, it was a screening of Waitress, the musical, that she did all the music and a lot of the lyrics for it, everything. And we were talking about what it's like to, watch it again after so many years since you started working on it. And she's like, I can't believe I put that drumline scene in it. Like, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so great. So like everybody has that stuff where you look at something and you're just like, what was I? Was I just trying to, make my quota that day? Whatever. So, we all feel that way. But when someone's seeing it, experiencing it for the first time, or, just hits everybody differently. So
when I watch old acting work I've done, it's always, oh, that's way better than I remember it being.
Well, that's a great way to be.
Maybe not, because, I'm not working.
But we all just froze at once.
Oh yeah, everybody froze. Oh, Sean's back. Tess is still frozen, but I can hear you, Tess. Can you hear me?
I can. This is a sign from the gods of the cube and the mushroom ghost forest.
All right, you guys don't have to leave. You can stay in the green room after. But thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Bye-bye.